All right. Good morning, guys. It is August 5th, 2023. Summer's winding down. And I'm doing the live show for my comic book haul on a Saturday because tomorrow work is sending me across the state 8 hours. I'm going to be in the Chesapeake area. So won't be here on Sunday. So, anyway, so we're going to do this today, and I got a handful of things. Now, what's really great is just to kind of show you what's coming up here is that this stack here of books, it really won't take that long to get through these, but found a couple dollar boxes in Wise, Virginia. Great comic book shop called Cavalier Comics. Definitely check in there. They got the guy who was at the counter a great talk. It was fantastic, right? So check them out if you're going through the Wise, Virginia area, right? But anyway, this stack of books. I don't know how many are here. I did the math last night and stuff, but came to 77 cents a piece with the deal I got, right? Dollar boxes and stuff, right? Didn't have a lot of time to really look through, so I zoned in exactly what I was going to get it. Good morning, John C. And since John C has popped in here, be like John C. Subscribe, hit that bell so you know where we're going to do this. Give me a thumbs up, right? Share the video. Let people know we're here. Okay. So good morning to you, man. All right. So some things have been going on with getting these books and things. Things have slowed down. Right now, as we speak, Big Lit Comic Con is going on in Roanoke, Virginia. Look that up online. They actually get Power Rangers and Jim Shooter and a bunch of wrestlers, and they get a lot of guests there and stuff, right? I've never really had a lot of luck getting comics there, but I went to their first five. They actually do several shows a year, and this is pre-pandemic, so they've been doing this for a while. I met Ron Mars there and stuff, right? It's kind of fun. So a lot of people were there. I was going to go, but my buddy and we canceled because he had a death in the family. So if you're watching this, everybody send him uh, their condolences and stuff. And then tomorrow, about 3 hours away from me, there's a comic book convention in Charlotte. It's like a smaller Heroes Con, I think, or something like that. Works knocked me out of that. But luckily, there is the Salem Vintage Show coming up if you're in the Salem, Virginia area. I think it's around the weekend of the 23rd or something. I don't have the flyer in front of me, or nor do I have a calendar, but it's coming up. Don't know if I'm going to that either, but I'm definitely in September going to RobCon in Abingdon, Virginia, which has been going on for decades. It's getting bigger and bigger. And last year I met Charles Vest there. That's probably the second or third time I ever met him. They had Marcy from Married with Children there, but this year they're having Terry Moore, Jeff Smith, Charles Vest, and I'm sure there's some other people and stuff, right? And that's just a fun convention. I actually was there when the convention years ago when he was actually on the sidewalk in State Street. In the lobby of a theater there, and I actually had a table selling my Marvel Legend toys and some comics and stuff like that when it was like on the sidewalk. And since then, it's gone on to be in Viking Hall and some other places and filling up Highlands Community College, their conference area, I guess. So it's great to see that thing grow over the years. All right. I also got a few things from eBay. I got a few things from flea market hauls I haven't seen. Then I'm actually going to talk about some stuff that I'm reading. So here, so let's just jump on in there, right, guys? So before we get to the actual comics, I think I found this for $1 at an antique mall, but this is a 1973 Whitman, which I didn't even check. I just saw Dragnet and grabbed it and stuff for $1 and stuff. But yeah, a little novel, if you're into the Dragnet. Um, you know, so great inside cover. I love this stuff. I think it's 1973. This is just like some, just some nice little reading. Case histories from the popular television show, authorized edition. So we'll just set that up here until we get around to reading that. Not a lot to say about it. I haven't read it, but I love those old hardbacks from the 60s and 70s of like about anything. I remember reading some Hardy Boys and stuff from that era, right? And then with Hero Magazine, something I thought I had from 1995, But Hero magazine came out, and yeah, Wizard was the magazine at the time, and I think they only lasted maybe what 19 issues. But I found this on eBay for nothing. I needed it because not only did it have Trencher in it, but it had some Kevin O'Neill art on there. The indies were, well, it used to be alternative comics of the 80s. The indies were hitting big, so everybody was jumping in on getting some IPs that they didn't sell the rights to. So this is a fold out cover. Articles in it has to do with Image, the Next Generation, Marvel Comics Inside the Big Door, and comics writing. And it says from Barron to David to Nasinza. So Mike Barron, Peter David, Fabian Nasinza. I don't know if it's articles or stuff. We have all these things came bagged. You used to get posters and zero issue comics sometimes or whatever, Wizards little specials. This one has Dreadstar, and we have some trading cards in there, right? Trying to decide to open this or not. I don't know what's going on, but here's Hero Illustrated. I actually kind of miss it, man. I mean, Wizard was the magazine, but these have a certain charm. I probably have half of the series and stuff, right? There were a lot of they really were about Valiant a whole lot, and I remember the Crow popping up and everything like that. So I was on the Fossil Show on Graphic Man's channel. I can't remember if it was last Wednesday or the Wednesday before. He's had to take a break from the show, and Captain Strangelove, the godfather of the comic book community. Uh, the actual man who should have a lifetime achievement award. He's coming up on an anniversary, and if you watch him, he just pulls out this great stuff, golden age, high, just golden age books, silver age books, all of it, anything and everything. It's comic books, and it's usually high grade, and he usually has multiples. And around then, he'll just kind of whip out a little gem. And when I saw him show this one, I said, "It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine." And yes, it is now mine. Where's my phone at? Hold on. Let me find my phone. I shall return. Hello. Okay. Yeah, sirloin tips or anything. Yeah. What are you getting? Yeah. What are you getting? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, babe. All right. I appreciate it. All right. Bye bye. Sorry, we're getting a lunch brought to us, man. I apologize for that. Anyway, yeah, we're professional here on the Howler Mouse channel, guys. So yeah, So anyway, got a great wife. What can I say, right? So anyway, he shows some gems. I said, "This will be mine. This will be mine." I got on eBay, played around, found this, kind of on the cheap, but I wanted something that was like at least mid grade and up. And of course, the seller ends up if you watch this stuff, if you put it in your watch list, you just sort of wait, you will end up getting a deal. But sometimes the deal was just a joke, maybe $1 off. But I've had them go all the way up to 50% off sometimes, right? Very rare, right? But anyway, it was this Adventure Comics number 427 with two or three stories in here. And basically, I went through. It's got some great Jim Aparo art in it. I'm trying to think. There was something else in there. I might pop it open, but I kind of went through it. But it was because of this cover. I love these creature from the Black Lagoon slash Swamp Monsters inspired covers as well. I also like Cavemen and Bigfoot, so I think you kind of get, like just love it all, right? But I saw this striking cover, and I was like, yes, it will be mine. It will be mine. So yeah, fantastic stuff. Um, I know it has Jim Afro art. It seems like I saw something in this that was kind of cool. Oh, ho, ho. Captain Fear, if you go way back. A Pirates, Vigilante. It's got an original Vigilante story, the one that dresses up like a cowboy and rides his motorcycle. So yeah, I'm a fan of those older kind of characters there, if you will. Let's put that aside. So yeah, Captain Strange Life. I can't wait to be on somewhere along the line to show him this. May have to put it on Instagram. And speaking of Instagram, I am Howler Mouse on Instagram. When this uploads in the future, there should be a link down there to find me on Instagram. But you can just type in Howler Mouse and find me. Right. Oh, what else do we have here? That's the list of stuff I'm reading. And now, this is the series that if you've been watching the channel, I have talked about. Like, I could kick myself for being there in the 90s. I even bought one of the one shots for this series by Matt Wagner, Steve Siegel, Guy Davis at the time, and many other people that come on after that and stuff, right? And it ran for 70 issues, and it had one annual. And like I said, it had a one shot where it crossed over Sandman Mystery Theater, Sandman. I never remember the title of that. Midnight Theater, Sandman Midnight Theater, where the Golden Age Sandman met Neil Gaiman's Sandman. And if you know the story of those, they're linked. So there were 70 issues of the actual Vertigo series, right? And I've been getting them here and there. And the more I read, I'm up to, I think, issue 40 of 70 with my reading of it. And I even dabbled in it because it had a little sort of a I don't know. I don't want to call it crossover, but the Golden Age Sandman popped in my James Robinson Starman, and they did a story of the mist in the Sandman that you could read. It was a little bit of a prequel, kind of loosely tied in there, just gave you some background information. So I dabbled in it, but I never picked up the series, right? And now I read it, and it's like this fantastic time period, timepiece, authentic pulp stories of the Golden Age Sandman fighting cults and serial killers and stuff, and having a little bit of social commentary that's not too heavy handed, just enough to sprinkle in there in the 90s when they were able to balance this stuff out. I can hear the car sirens, and I can hear the little squeak and honks of the Studebakers or whatever was back then. I can smell the lead in the gasoline and stuff like that. They do a fantastic deal. And the funny thing is that after all of that, it's not really so much of the Sandman's adventures. It's more about he and Diane as a couple. So that's probably the magic of it, right? So now I have 69 issues of the 70 issue series. And I'm luckily bought most of them for $1 or less, except for a handful where they maybe got them for like $2.20 off of my comic shop because I really wanted to finish a story or two, right? Didn't have the patience, right? And ironically, as the series went on, the covers got better and better. They started having photographic photographs with models and stuff, right? And playing around with exposures and giving it these vintage feels and stuff like that, right? It seems like the series not only got better, but the covers got better as the sounds like they had a lower print run. At least that's the excuse why some people want to charge an arm and a leg online for like the last 10 issues and stuff, right? So as you get in here, it's very moody, very pulpy, very hardcore, and just great stuff, man. Just great stuff. And of course, most of these stories take place in the 30s. Just great stuff. 4-issue story arcs is usually what it is. Oh man, like I could just look at these forever. Even just the covers. Like I said, they just got better and better. A little kink there. This is a fantastic issue. This is issue 41. Those are in the 40s I just showed. But this one, as you can see with that silhouette, it is a Neil Gaiman Sandman tie-in. And I needed an upgrade. I bought this, and when I opened up the bag, it was in rougher shape than I wanted, which is fantastic now because I can keep that out as a reader copy and get this in the box with the rest of the series. But this is an interesting issue to get if you just wanted to check it out. You get a little bit of a twist there before you get all excited, because if you know about Neil Gaiman's Sandman, you know that he was in prison from like 1917 to 1988 or something like that. Seems like it was 75 years. So if you do the math, so probably longer than that. From what I'm remembering, but there are ties to it, right? But this is just a fun, fantastic issue, and you can go check on my Instagram, and I posted some pictures of out of this. Okay, so the cover is the third picture. It's a series. My post has 3 pictures in it. You'd have to swipe to see the cover. I did it backwards, right? So, like I said, they got really innovative. The Scarlet Ghost, a little bit of a cinematic feel I'm feeling with these. I feel like I'm paying a nickel to go to the movies on a Sunday and spend about 4 hours. And here we go, number 65, 60, number 66. I'm really hoping I did not have my hands on it when I was finding these in the box because I was having a good time talking to the clerk there. We were having a blast, man. Really cool guy. And maybe I just overlooked it. So you can imagine my excitement where I'm like, I'm finally done with that. And then I drive home. And then I get home and I put it in my CLZ app and I'm like, son of a bitch, because I missed one. Yeah, had to get over that. Had to remember I was an adult. So those are fun. Oh, Comic Collector has popped in here. All right, Comic Collector. Just recently finished collecting the Sandman series, Neil Gaiman's. I'm assuming, or yeah, the that's fantastic. If you got the whole series, I have almost two complete sets. I really liked up there. Of course, number 4 and 8 of that series, I just have one of, but I've got doubles of and number one. I don't think I have a double of number one anymore. I think I actually gave it to a friend. Let me see. I think I was missing issue 19 forever, which is funny because I pick up number 19s whenever I can. If I'm thinking that's the Charles Vess issue with the Shakespeare play, Night, Midsummer Night Dream. Hold on, let's drink some coffee and see if we can get the mouth to work, right? Yeah, I try to find that one. I've got several copies of that one, so I have the opposite problem. So fantastic, man. That's congratulations, man. Getting that whole series is fantastic, right? Fantastic. Trying to see where mine's at. There's a watch. I might turn this camera around and show you some of the completed sets and stuff I have over here. All right. So when I was a kid, my favorite toy, of course, was Stretch Armstrong, or maybe it was Shogun Warrior. I got to say up until I was about 4 or 5, maybe about 5. Christmases kicked in my house, and then after that, they just sort of went downhill for various reasons, and that's not a negative. That's just a fact. Okay, so it was actually wild to think that as a youngster, between 4 and 6 or 7, I actually got loaded up on toys during Christmas. And there was actually a summer in 80 or 80, 81 or 82 that had all this Hot Wheels tracks and all this stuff that was clogging up the bedroom and everything like that. And I remember we actually cleaned it out, my brother and I, on our own, and we dumped a bunch of stuff for the garbage truck to get there, right? But Stretch Armstrong, and then behold the glory. I think I actually made a shrine to this toy, but I got Raiden, the Shogun Warrior. And over the years, I've run across this series. I've got number 1. I've kept it forever and had 3 or 4 other issues. And I think one of the issues I have is, oh God, what do you call this? Well, we're getting off track here, right? But I didn't really take the series serious at all, right? And now all of a sudden, I don't know if it's a nostalgic way, but I'm picking them up left and right in dollar boxes. This is number 20, starring the Fantastic Four, Doug Mooch and Mr. Herb Trimpe to some people. And I got to tell you, man, this reads better than a lot of books from the last 6, 7, 8 years. Take your pick. Maybe you want to way back to 52. It's amazing how some of these books that were a little bit campy or corny or, obviously a commercial, time is on their side, when you do comparisons. So, and this isn't the only book that I've said this about. If you've been watching me for a while, it's like it really amazes me how there's a lot of forgiveness. Like I should have appreciated you when you were there. It was fantastic. So yeah, these are a lot of fun, and I take my time picking them up. I actually know where almost a full set is, but I'm sure the guy's going to want $25 and $10 per issue, thanks to speculators and eBay prices. Bitch, moan, whatever. But yeah, same old stuff that we all put up with, but a little patience and a little time, right? So now here's another series I'm about to complete, right? Now, I've said it before, and I know people don't watch every episode, and people pop in, and every now and then I kind of look at my analytics and stuff if I'm like, stuck in the bathroom or something, or can't sleep or whatever, and I'll check them out. And, a lot of my stuff is found through YouTube searches and stuff, right? Even though I've got a great 100 to 200 people that check out everything. I can see you sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it, but some other stuff is through YouTube searches. So I'm going to repeat something that the normal viewers have seen and stuff, right? But the little budget that I kind of have, the unofficial budget that I have for collecting these books and stuff like that, and I actually have joy in finding this stuff on the cheap. Just because that's how I've been doing it for 30 years, over 33 years now. I've been collecting since 77. But it was around 1990 that I really started hustling the comics and stuff. But not buying a lot of new comics and stuff, right? And there's a few books I am buying that I'll do that I'm kind of getting impressed with. I'm like, there's some stuff in the corner over here that the big two are kind of ignoring or letting things happen and stuff. So there's a few things out there, right? But I've decided, like, for the last year, 2 years, 3 years, probably longer than that, I'm like, let's fill in those gaps. Let's complete those series, which is why I get all excited. But now I'm also down to one issue on this one, and I've taken my time with it, right? But I need number 33 to complete this series, but it's Infinity Incorporated, right? So basically, there was a direct market of books that you could not get. And when I got books off the newsstand when I was 83, about 10 years old stuff, that's when I really started seeing these. That's probably when a lot of them were being announced, 83 to 84. But anyway, but you would see these books that were direct market only, but you could subscribe to them. They were on the Baxter paper, Legion of Superheroes, Infinity Incorporated, Omega Men. I can never remember all four of them together. Maybe Vigilante, a few other things, but there was a bunch of Baxter series supposed to be better paper, higher quality cover, and all this stuff, right? So of course I was able to get the Infinity Incorporated Crosses and even Earth crossovers. I was a Roy Thomas fan. I was already reading All Star Squadron. This was an Earth 2 of the 80s that tied into All Star Squadron because it's the heroes of the next generation. La la la, all that good stuff, right? And I tell you what, it ran for 53 issues. Crosses on Infinite Earth really messed Roy up on this stuff. I've heard him talk at Heroes Con finally, I heard one talk where you could tell he was being polite, and then a couple years ago he had one where he was just cutting loose finally, for real. But anyway, you can see Todd McFarlane on this. I think he came in around issue 14 or 15, and here we are at 32. He's been on the book for like maybe a year and a half, 2 years, maybe somewhere around there. I have no math skills this morning, and I'm actually pretty good at math. But anyway, this is 1986, and to be jumping around and stuff, I'm really seeing Todd McFarlane improve as a penciler. And right around the corners when he jumps to Marvel and gets on the Hulk and Spider-Man and becomes the star. But this is the first appearance of Tasmanian Devil, supposedly, according to my CLZ app, where there's a key, and a lot of these things aren't as accurate as you think. But he did some fun stuff in this, all right? But of course, what I really love about this era are the ads for Watchmen. That's why I haven't rebagged this yet. I'm sort of like, man, I don't know if I want to put a board in this, right? So the last issue I need is number 33, origin issue of Obsidian. And then there's an issue 39 that has Solomon Grundy, one of my favorite misunderstood monsters, unless he's really a killer in the form he's taken now, that version of him. Anyway, but needs an upgrade. So other than that, one more issue to complete this. So that's really cool, right? Oh, so what do we got here? I really enjoy Infinity Inc. and all the JSA spin-offs of that time. Young All Stars, All Star Squadron. I had almost a complete run of Young All Stars. And I love Roy Thomas's stuff. Don't get me wrong, right? But to sit down and read the entire series, all 53 issues of Infinity Incorporated, it would take a long time if you actually tried to read every word. The great thing about Roy Thomas is when you were buying him monthly, right? You had a book that was going to last you a while, and then it'd be a month later, you got that next issue. But to sit down and read all of his stuff at once, holy crap, you need to just go ahead and start reading some novels and stuff, right? If you're going to spend that time reading that many words, you might as well read higher, actual literature, because Roy Thomas explains everything. Continuity, it has to be explained. All the stories from the golden age. Roy Thomas is famous for having a fantastic unbelievable golden age comics collection because he was going around in the 50s and 60s collecting those as a kid and stuff, right? And as a teen. And that's why he knows all of this stuff. And in All Star Squadron and all this stuff, he tries to make continuity work with all of this. Crisis hit. He got he got Bat Spider-Man. He got Tarantula popped in my head for you guys in the know of that Golden Age stuff. But anyway, um, anyway, he lost the Trinity and a few other characters. He lost like Aquaman with Crisis. They were never in the Golden Age. Spider-Man, Batman, Wonder Woman, and he had to back up and find Golden Age characters to fill those spots in the World War II era. And instead of redoing All Star Squadron, he took these characters to the side and did Young All Stars. And I thought it was not that good, even though he tied in oh my God, why am I going to blank? Gladiator. Philip Wiley's Gladiator, Hugo Danning. It's all coming back to me. Hugo there, right? Iron Monroe. He had a character named Iron Monroe, which was the son of Gladiator, and actually had 2-3 issues of the Young All Stars that I have where he told the origin of Iron Monroe, connecting it to Philip Wiley's Gladiator, right? For anybody that's new, I have a like a 10-year-old video explaining Superman, Gladiator to Superman, explaining that novel from the 20s of the Gladiator. The author's estate actually commented on that and thanked me for doing the video. And I was like, he has an estate anyway. But yeah, you're taking me back. I want to go back, and I should have kept the Young All Star books and stuff, right? I see them all the time now, but they're very low condition when I find them, and I have probably like 7 or 8 issues of it floating around here. But anyway, moving on. Now, sometimes you just have to realize that you're in the dollar boxes, and you kind of got to hopefully either take a chance on something or trust a memory, right? And when in 1998, I became a father, so I was still getting comics online. Don't get me wrong, but understandably, they just really weren't there for a while. A priority for me. I had other priorities and very happy about it, right? But I remember reading somewhere along, not online in 98, not online. I still had a pull list. I didn't get online until 2001. So anyway, but I still, somewhere along the line, I remember reading the preview for this, and it stuck in my head because of Kevin O'Neill. So this throwaway book that maybe you have seen or maybe you've never seen, and either way, it's fine. But this is Adventure Comics 80-page giant number ones, great Steve Lytle cover. And I don't know what the hell he's doing because Steve Lytle is a fantastic artist, and I can see him going for the retro Captain Marvel. But this Rob Liefeld like image version of Wonder Woman is absolutely horrible. Even though he's able to tap into a little bit of a Tom Grummett Superboy, and I don't know what the hell this is with the Green Arrow Jr. there, right? So even though it's a striking black cover, and I being a fan of Steve Lytle artwork from his Legion work and his X Factor work and tons of covers and stuff, was really shocked by this, and that's why I didn't pick it up back in the day. Well, we have fixed that because inside, as you can see, it has a Legion of Superheroes story, a Supergirl story, Tales of Bizarro World. And that's the one, guys, because I'm going to show you something in one of these who's from 12 years earlier or something like that. Like I said, my math is way off. But the great Kevin O'Neill, I mean, this is the book, a one shot or something that we didn't know we needed. And I really wish that something had been done, or somebody should have thought about this, right? But Kevin O'Neill of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen fame and My Martial Law, which I have a whole shelf here behind, right? 2018, man, he did a Bizarro story with Tom Peyer, and Tom Peyer is a solid writer. But Kevin O'Neill, of course, he should be doing Bizarro. It's like that character was meant for him. When you read this, of course, it's satire and everything like that. But Tales of the Bizarro World, just a little, I don't know, 8 pages, 6 or 7 pages, of Kevin O'Neill, just glory with Bizarro. This is a series I would have bought. This is a series I would have bought if Kevin O'Neill was doing Bizarro. Now, for me, that was a treat. Why? And I'm hoping I remember this right. I may be embarrassing myself again right on camera here when I show you this, leading up to the next couple books. Let's just put this to the side. We have a tape situation. Always take your tape off. There we go. Put that over there because when I this book I'm showing you next, I'll go ahead and skip ahead to number 2. But DC's Who. I'm going to tell you all about this in a minute. But we get down here, and there's Bizarro on the table of contents. This is 1985, so this is 13 years before, right? So I studied and read these and enjoyed myself with Official Handbook of the Marvel Universes, with these Who's Who in the DC Universe, uh, Marvel Saga. I actually love this stuff, right? And what's great about these is if you don't know what the Who's Who in the DC Universe is, they had little profiles of villains and characters and stuff. I'll talk about it in a minute. And each one had a different artist. They brought in an artist, and sometimes you'd get like a little surprise, a little somebody who was not working at DC at the moment, but if you were in the know, you knew how cool it was. They have a Turtle Man, an old Silver Age character of the Flash, a villain, and it was drawn by Kevin Eastman. I believe it's who drew it, Kevin Eastman, or I think was that, yeah. Anyway, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fame, right? But in this, we have Kevin O'Neill drawing Bizarro, and this may be one of the first images of Kevin O'Neill that I ever remember. So that's why that little Adventure Comics 80-page giant out of the blue was something I had to have, because I really wanted a Kevin O'Neill Bizarro book for a while. And that's when you know you're deep into the hobby and deep into comics. I actually remember in the 90s, a little bit in the 80s, when I started out buying the comics in the 70s, Jack Kirby was king, and Doom Patrol, Dr. Doom was the villain in the house, with the stepdad and the uncle and stuff. And the uncle was more into war comics, but it was there. And Kirby scared the hell out of me. That OMAC #1 cover freaked me out. There's a copy, I have a coverless copy of the Losers from that era. That very copy that scared me. I would have to turn them over at night so I could go to sleep. I could not have them up. Right now, I'm a Kirby nut, of course, right? But anyway, but Commandy was huge in there. And in the 80s and 90s, even people who collected comics, if you were into the Commandy stuff and things like that, for them that was like being a little too deep and a little too far. And I got judged. You get judged. They're like, Commandy, oh, like that's a little too much for them, right? I even have a toy fair from Wizard where they had they would take Mego dolls and things like that and make like a miniature toy fair theater or something. I have it down here, and there's a special where Thor and I guess Spider-Man and Iron Man or something, they're all at a comic book convention, and Thor's running around. This is the 90s. Thor's running around. He gets happy. He's very happy because he completed the Commandy collection. So see, we were the guys that got pointed at, and now everybody has to have a Commandy #1, right? So anyway, as a kid, I mean, I've always talked about growing up in a golden age, right? No, I was not there for Marvel. Marvel was, I don't know, 10 to 12 years old when I was born. But thanks to having a stepdad and an uncle who were like between 18 and 20 when I was born or something like that, they had we had pulps of Conan. This was the generation that read, you know what I mean? They were the generation that having little pulp novels and these paperbacks that you could buy for like a quarter to 65 cents and stuff like that was a way of life, right? The sci-fi, the Andrea Norton, Dune was becoming big. Isaac Asimov, I think Anne McCaffrey was around, but none of that stuff was in my house, right? But we had Destroyer, Remo Williams and things in the house and things like that. So it was all just laying out for me, right? It was all just right there provided for me, right? So I had all this stuff from the past coming up. Silver Age comics and stuff were in the house. I actually had a spinner rack in my house in 1978 that a place called Magmart had thrown out. And the stepdad was babysitting me or whatever and put me in the car, and I thought we were going in Magimart so I could look at the toy aisle, and he goes back to where the dump is and he gets a spinner rack. So I had a spinner rack in his bedroom that had X-Men comics and stuff, and a huge stereo system in a trailer, mind you, with milk crates of records, big speakers, an 8-track player, and then the walls were just pasted with posters of Kiss. Gene Simmons was his hero. I knew Gene Simmons's name before I knew my stepdad's real name because he's Mad Dog. That was his nickname, right? So as things go on, 1980 hits, right? Marv Wolfman and a bunch of people jump over to Marvel because Jim Shooter took over. That's where Roy Thomas jumped ship and all of them because Jim Shooter had a thing about no writer should be their own editor. He wanted them to be separate people. So these guys jump over there, and that's where we get All Star Squadron, ARAC, uh, Roy Thomas on Wonder Woman, and a few other things. And then we also get Teen Titans by George Perez and Marv Wolfman. And they start, Lynn Wynn and Marv Wolfman, a few guys are realizing that, we're 5 years away from the 50th anniversary, and they start planning what Crisis on Infinite Earth is going to be. So they bring in a guy who gets this fantastic job. And I've actually seen the guy online a little bit and stuff, right? But Pete Sanderson gets to read every DC comic and take little notes, first appearances, what Earth they're on, little stuff like that, right? And this is all reference material for Marv, is how I understand it. And actually, word of mouth spread to where he ended up jumping over to Marvel and helping out with the deluxe edition of maybe the original one with Mark Grunwald of the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. This guy got paid for years to read every Marvel and DC comic book ever made. That sounds like a blessing and a curse, at the same time. So here's little old me, you know what I mean? Having all the stuff that came before, all this stuff right in front of him because I love reading. And then all of a sudden I'm getting to be like 9, 10, 11 years old, and I'm looking around. I've accumulated my own little collection. And now I'm getting handed reference material to where I will know what first appearances are and stuff. Now, this stuff is pretty simple. They just didn't want to waste, as I understand it, they didn't want to waste the Pete Sanderson's notes. That's why some of this stuff isn't very detailed, but it's just enough. And the art is fantastic. And you have these wraparound covers that came out. And I got this set because my set has been read for years. Okay. I can pull them out. And I think it's the very Batman issue where I'm like checking off first appearances and stuff that I have. I have little marks in there and with pencil, and I was writing in them and stuff like that. I didn't really consider these comics, or I considered this like me taking notes and stuff. When I'm looking, and this started out at a time where it was like December 20th, 1985, I think. I'll have to go back and look. I think it was 84. And then it just, anyway, but this book ran from the time I was 11 to about 14 somehow, the way the months lined up. I probably turned maybe 12, 2, 3 issues into this. So it was kind of offsetting. So I was reading this official handbook of Marvel Universe and Marvel Saga all within the same time frame. All right. It's fantastic. I loved it, man. On top of like reading Crisis on Infinite Earths and some great stuff coming out, right? So I ended up getting all but one issue. So this is 25 issues of near mint. We're going to say near mint, very fine. There was one that looked kind of shady of these for 77 cents a piece. Now, they also had updates that came up in 87, 88, 89, I think 1990. I've got all of those. And then in 1990, they came out with these. You were supposed to, they had 3 holes punched in them, and you were supposed to go through them and rearrange them how you want. But they came out with a who's who where it had a theme, and you had to buy them and bust it open. Oh man, I'm describing that horribly, but I have them here somewhere. There might be one right behind me. I don't know. But anyway, these were gold to me. And now you can buy these in omnibuses, 2 volumes. And I think they're like 150 a piece. And I never understand. I know people love omnibus. And I know it's new to them. They're much younger than me. And obviously they have the money. But when books that are this cheap get some kind of high grade put in a collection, I just don't understand spending $150 when I got these for 77 cents a piece. So 77 times 25. That's what I paid for these. And I'm only missing one issue, which I'll find easily, right? But George Perez did most of these fantastic collage-like posters. Character jams were, I'm going to show you one. If you've never seen these, you really need to look them up, man. I think these are fun. I think they're fantastic. I'll give you a sample of one, right? But this was just one more thing that made me a huge George Perez fan. Okay. Just fantastic, fun stuff. And this is the idea of what you get in there. So there's plenty of videos where people are going through their omnibus. I actually watched one to help me fall asleep last night. Unfortunately, I just slept 3 hours last night. That's why I don't know what happened. And that's why I'm here. I'm too tired to go do the things I wanted to do today, but I'm also too wired to want to lay around, So we're trying to get coffee and trying to get my mouth to work, and I appreciate everybody that's here. So these are just fantastic, and there's a magical one at the time that was there, and maybe you had to have been there. So yeah, we have all of these fantastic Batman stuff in there. The blues are perfect. I mean, to me, these are magical. I'm right back. I'm in the Oxford Square apartments I lived in 1985 with some of these. Like I'm sitting in my room, like reading these. I mean, these do take me back. You know, so I'll be putting these up and pulling out the original ones I had. But I think you get the idea here, right? And like I said, I'm missing one of them, and it's the beginning of T's. I know Tarantula is front and center on it. Elongated Man, Legion of Superheroes, and all these have fantastic wraparound covers. And I mean, I highly recommend stuff like this for reference material. Some people are like, these are dated, or there's been so many reboots and changes. I think a lot of people overlook these. Well, first appearances never change. And when it's in print, it's forever. This is how you keep from doing mistakes. You get on eBay and people will not be knowledgeable enough about comics, and they will claim that something is the first appearance. I don't know if they're trying to trick people or if they just really don't know and they're watching spec channels and getting inaccurate information from apps that anybody can get in and edit and stuff like that, right? So also what's great about this is when they did make a mistake, they kept the letter columns inside of these, and people are telling them where they make a mistake. And I've heard that in the omnibus that they did, they printed them with the correct information. I don't know if that's true, but yeah, the letters column, you had people coming in and saying you guys messed this up, or this was their actual name, or this was their actual first appearance. So yeah, it was more of a community feel. Everybody was in on making sure this stuff was accurate and would write in, which I thought was very cool. Yeah, these George Perez issues are just fantastic. Mon-El, favorite character of mine. Got your great Nightwing there, Flamebird and Nightwing behind him. And then I'm trying to think, Edward Burrito came in. I'm probably butchering that name. A little Sergeant Rock. And the next one should be the one that is magical. There's that horrible Solomon Grundy. I'm going to go ahead and call it, man. Horrible. But anyway, this was the magic one that people who did not collect this were just going nuts over because they were John Byrne fans. A bunch of Marvel guys were coming over and getting this stuff, right? But when John Byrne came and, was going to reboot Superman and made the cover of Time magazine and everything like that, a lot of people went nuts for this one. This was hard to find out of the blue because it was John Byrne doing a DC cover at the time. So people pulled it up. Luckily, I have 2 or 3 now. I grab this every time I want it, every time I run across it, because I could not get it off the stand anywhere. All the John Byrne nuts grabbed it. All the X-Men guys grabbed it. I know who they were. I know who they were. It was a small town. It was a small town. You couldn't hide. I saw you. Anyway, so, fun stuff here, right? All right. And of course, then they followed up with the updates. And on the last issue, they started over. They went all the way to Z, and then they updated and put in people they left out, like my Blackjack from my Atari Force, and Captain X, and Guy Gardner, who did not get. Guy Gardner being overlooked the first time around should have been like a crime in itself there, right? So let's check the comments, and then I'm just going to show you some of the things I'm reading, talk about that, and call it a day, because I think my caffeine is kicking in finally. I put it in a punk cup. Hopefully that would like give it a little more edge and stuff, right? Long live the Ramones. All right. Oh, we already read that one. Okay, guys. All right. So basically what I'm reading, well, first of all, what I've watched, I showed this last week. I need to clean this off. It's sticky. Or I took the stickers off, right? But if you're a Venture Brothers fan, right, and I can't believe it's 20 years, it was sort of poetic when they did this, but this actually got canceled in 2020, but they kind of kept it under wraps. And I will say, just to get 7 seasons in 20 years was brutal, considering how old I am now and when I think about how old I was when it started. But the Venture Brothers from Adult Swim, fantastic stuff. I now have my wife got me a Ventures Brother book where they talk about all the episodes up until about 2013 or 14, I think, has sketches in it and stuff. I have all the season sets. I actually have one of the season sets signed by Bill Sienkiewicz, who I got to talk at a Heroes Con. I think he did season 2, and I asked him, how did you end up getting called to do the artwork for the DVD set? And he was like, they just called me. They just called me out of the blue. And he did it and he signed it. But anyway, this is Radiant. Radiant is the blood of the baboon heart. And that title makes perfect sense when you get to the end of this. I was like, oh, and it also feels vaguely familiar. But anyway, this is basically the plans they had for season 8, and they restructured it to make it feel more like a movie, and it works incredibly well. The more of a Venture fan you are, the more you're going to enjoy this, right? So, yeah, I was really happy. If this is how it's got to go out, it's going out. And that big reveal at the end, perfect. It was perfect. It is, you knew something was there, but you didn't know it was going to be that. I was like, they got you, so well done. Well done. Yeah. Radiant is the blood of the baboon heart, right? End of an era. So, if you know about Fables, right? If you know about the TV show Once that's on ABC about all the fairy tale people being in the Mundy world, the real world, and everything like that. Fables started, oh my God, what was it? 2001, 2003, somewhere around there. And I was there from the get go, right? I knew this book was going to be good. I knew Bill Willingham from Elementals. I think the first time I had an Elementals in my hand was 1988, number 3 from the second series from Comico. And that was when you got to go out of this little town and you got to go an hour away, which was a big deal back then, to a Walden Books in the Mercer Mall. And they had comics that you could not get on the regular stands. I ended up getting Sandman number 7, 6 or 7. And I ended up getting that Elementals book. I can still pull them out and tell the whole story again, right? And so when I saw this book, I was like, Bill Willingham, I know that name. He was in my Dungeons and Dragons books doing art and stuff like that, right? So I knew this was going to be good. I love the concept. And basically, the whole idea of Fables is that in the lands of all the fairy tales and things like that, there's an adversary going through, taking over their lands, and they're having to run to the real world where they make Fabletown. And they're making a life here in secret, keeping everything secret. So you spend about 3.5 years, picking up little hints here and there. If you really read into it, maybe they were hints, maybe they weren't, trying to figure out who the adversary is. And they would show this person in a robe every now and then in flashback, keeping them secret and stuff, right? And then all of a sudden, they found out that it could not be who Bill Willingham wanted to be, because this was the one character that was not in the public domain. The London courts had made an exception to the copyright law because all the proceeds from Peter Pan helped this orphanage out, so he couldn't use them. He had to come up with somebody new. And when he picked that person, I about threw the book across the. I rage sold the entire series. I quit. Rage sold it on eBay, got a good chunk of money because I had the number 1 in there, and was done with it. Years go by. Ollie's has, what do we have here? Ollie's outlet stores. This whole thing is now Fables. They had the Lux hardback editions and the softback editions for like $2.99 to $3.99. And I picked back up reading this, and man, you talk about messing up. I quit around issue 41 or 42, whatever the big reveal is. And I might have the book here. And over the years, I have picked up in dollar bins or in lots, I don't know, probably about, what would that be? Probably about 35 issues of the series. I really did not like the Arabian Nights story that came out after they did the big reveal, but I'm not going to talk about them all day. But they have like fantastic covers. There's Little Boy Blue and Big B Wolf. But anyway, but starting around issue 48 or something like that, this series becomes classic. I have ripped through 3 of these in one weekend, 3 trades. This is number 11, so I went through 8, 9, 10. I'm on the 4th one here. I think there's 22 if you get them in soft trade. The original series ran for 150 issues, and actually, issue 75 is where we finally go to war with the adversary so they can move on to other stories. This thing has everything in it, man. Great characterization, momentum for those characters. Bill Willingham handles a cast of characters on par with more characters than what's in the Legion of Superheroes, I think, like really well. Little Easter eggs back there. It's light, it's dark when it needs to be, it's hardcore. And seeing this contradiction, he plays with contradictions of reality versus fables very well, right? I mean, the fables are going to go back and take the homelands, but while they're using swords and knives and spears, they're like, we're getting this, they're going around and they're meeting mercenaries to train them and stuff and build weapons and get AK-85s, and they're getting ready to like use modern weapons in the fairylands and stuff, right? Fantastic stuff. I mean, it is fantastic. The Good Prince arc like was fantastic. I mean, there's just characters. I don't want to ruin anything to review this and really tell you about things. We got to do it, but I'm set up to have the whole 150 issues. They brought it back last year. They're going to do 12 more issues. It may be done. I've got one or two of those, but I'm just going to wait and get it in trade. I could have pre-ordered the 16th, 22 trades. I think 16 deluxe editions. I'm not going to grab one right, but I could have pre-ordered the deluxe edition last month for the 16th one, and I may kick myself for not getting it and stuff, right? But I'm in War and Pieces, number 11, almost done with it, but this is the big final war. So we move on to other things with Fables. So yeah, check out Fables. I messed up quitting at the time. You know, don't trust those emotional reactions, people. That's what I'm saying. Don't trust them. Right. The other thing that I'm reading is when I got all these Sandman Mystery Theater, and one of the most underrated series ever, in my opinion, is the JSA series that came out. See, I got this trade for $2.99, but I looked up. I was a Starman fan. That's the cover of it. And before that, they had a few one shots, if you will, to lead up to the number one. But David Goyer, James Robinson came in, and they were bringing back the JSA. I can't remember if this was 1999, 2001. Oh, let me look. 1999. Yeah, I was right. 1999, and this collects the first 6 issues, I think. And then some guy named Jeff Johns came in and started kind of working with David Goyer on the book to where he eventually took off on his own. But anyway, they brought in a lot of legacy characters, and they brought back a lot of actual characters. They had one shots that came out showing some of the JSA from the 80s, for the 40s, kind of laying grounds on this. But the great thing is not the great thing is, but the dramatic thing that hooked you on this is that the original Sandman, Wesley Dodds, is on the Himalayas, and he's facing who ends up being Stalker, the man with no soul, a little known book from the 70s at DC with Wally Wood Art and Steve Ditko and Paul Levitz doing their influence. They were influenced by Michael Moorcock's Elric, if you will. I have all the issues. I think there were 4 or 5. Anyway, they brought this character back, but that's what they did. They brought back characters and made them very cool. You know what I mean? Like just telling the story, right? David Goyer, of course, went on to make movies, and he was doing scripts for Blade and all that stuff probably around this time. But this is the trade, and they even tied in Neil Gaiman's Sandman. And I was on this book from the get-go simply because it has Starman in it, Jack Knight Starman. That could possibly be my favorite series of all time with Commandy. They're always fighting in my head. And of course, we ended up having a Sandman, Neil Gaiman's Sandman pop up for just a little cameo there, right? Building up to things, right? This book was solid. I think, if you want some solid old school comic book reading where things actually happen, there's momentum, a lot of great things, a lot of characterization. This is the book for you. That 1999 GSA series, right? So I'm doing a little reread of that. I've got a box right over there where I have all this stuff. It's mixed in with my All-Star Squadron and what is that? Black Adam books and Hawkman books, right? They're right there. And then if you get on my Instagram again, I pulled out issue 13, 14, and 15 from 1981, 82-ish. And I reread the Teen Titans book where Marv Wolfman did a more or less a Doom Patrol story. You know what I mean? It's got that iconic number 13's got that iconic cover. I've already put it up where I'd show you. Iconic cover where Robin and Changeling and I want to say Cyborg, you can tell they're in a jungle and they're in the bush and they're shining a light, and somebody has hung up a beaten, battered robot man, in the vines and stuff. I reread that, and that made me go through and start digging in because it has been long enough to where I have not done such a big reread of the Teen Titans that I can make it a lot of the stuff is new to me again, and that's really cool. I think if I had a conversation with somebody, a lot of stuff would come back to me. You know what I'm saying? Like when you watch old TV shows and stuff, and that's kind of where we're at with the Titans. I've got a whole long box and a short box of nothing but Titan stuff. Uh, so what I did is I've just reached out, and the stuff that I've probably read once, if not twice, and just put back are the annuals. So I'm starting with the Marv Wolfman annuals of the Teen Titans, and John Byrne, Philip Jose Farmer, Brother Blood in this one. I've got multiple copies of some of these early 90s stuff. The Secret Origins annual is one of my favorite George Perez written stories that very cleverly retells the history of the Teen Titans. Very cool for what it is. You know what I'm saying? Reintroduces some characters where it's their first appearance, and has some ironically Who's Who pages in here that they made for it. Yeah, that's an upgrade. Yeah, so yeah, actually, I can't even really tell you something about this stuff because I read them when they came out. 1987, and this may be an upgrade. I think I have two of those somewhere. Yeah, but yeah, stuff I have not read for years. So I'm starting with the All New Titans. I remember this one vaguely. So yeah, we're going back and reading some old school stuff. Oh man, I don't think this was very good. Yeah, Armageddon. Oh, and what is that? So Merv Pumpkinhead. This is a new book, and I completely forgot I saved it for last. But this is also by Bill Willingham and Mark Buckingham. This is from 1999. It is a one-shot, beautiful, beautiful graphic novel here, right? Um, and I passed this up because, like I said, 98, I became a father. Comics weren't that, I still got my comics and everything like that, but wasn't really, I kind of stuck with what I knew around this time, right? Things I was completing, things I really wanted to read. Didn't really branch out there. And I've always had this thing where I hit these moments where I'm a purist, okay? Star Wars. I didn't get a lot of extended universe Star Wars because if George Lucas didn't write it, it wasn't Star Wars. Okay. So when it came to Neil Gaiman's Sandman, I was pretty harsh. If Neil Gaiman didn't write it, it's not canon. I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to get it. I've gotten better since then, right? So anyway, these guys would just a few years from now end up doing Fables together, right? And this is a one shot. Now, this book in reality popped because of the Netflix Sandman series. It was all over the place. I remember it making a speculator channel or two, right? And if you go on eBay, they're still asking ridiculous prices for it. I did not go and look on Comic Book Realm or any other place to find out what the actual value is, because my little advice, depending on what you're looking for, this may help, it may not, grain of salt, or it could pay off. That is fate. Roll the dice, right? So basically, completely forgot about this book, and I'm like, well, it's from the 90s. It's a Vertigo book. I got a complete set of the Sandman. I got a complete set of the Neil Gaiman stuff. I've got multiple copies. I got stuff signed by Charles Best, one book signed by Gaiman. We'll get and I like Bill Willingham and book, all this stuff. These guys proved themselves on Fable, so it's like time to get it. So I very calmly and patiently just waited till I found one that did not go for $20 or $30 or $40. Those are ridiculous prices. That's not even counting the ridiculous prices for shipping now, right? And I got this for 99 cents because nobody was looking for it. Why was nobody looking for it? Well, probably 30%. I want a low number, but I don't want it to be a dismisses number. But I'll wait for guys like Comic Tom, and I can't remember these two other channels or nothing. I'll wait for them to put out their top 10 list of back issues, and then a couple days later they'll do the top 10 modern hot books or whatever and stuff like that. And if you wait just a few hours after those videos come out, people will swarm to eBay to try to get those books. Now, if you want to know how ridiculous I think that is, last week when I started looking for this book, I caught it very quickly. everybody was hunting for Biker Mice from Mars #1 from the 90s. Okay. So while everybody was looking for things like that, I went in here and found a more Pumpkinhead. Now, it was a hot book, probably about it. I don't even know when that series came out. A year ago? Was it a couple months ago? Nobody talks about it. That's probably a year ago, right? But anyway, I know people aren't really looking for it, but it was patience. All they did was remind me that I had something from the Sandman universe that I don't, and I'm a completist of that era now, right? The stuff that came out a few years ago, the Sandman universe books, where Neil Gaiman was over it after it pretty much ends with the overture for me, unless Neil Gaiman's writing it. I got all the #1s and probably hung in there for 6 months on all those Sandman Presents, Sandman universe books from a few years ago, and they were garbage. I just call it what it is. This was actually kind of fun. Okay, so I kind of skimmed it, went through it, and I'm like, man, I'm so glad that I'm getting older to where the testosterone is bound to have dropped a little bit, or maybe I've gotten a little bit wiser or something. But I can go back and listen to music I couldn't stand back in the day. I'm enjoying the Smiths. They had 2 or 3 songs I liked, but I couldn't handle the rest of Morrissey. Now I do know that Dying by Your Side would be a wonderful way to die, the heavenly way to die, if you will, right? There is a light that never goes out, I can enjoy stuff. And we're doing that with the older comics as well, more and more and more, for various reasons and stuff, right? But by being able to drop the fact that some of the stuff is just for fun, and maybe the guys writing this can stay within the good boundaries, if you will, the keep it pure enough to what Neil Gaiman was doing, not take liberties with these characters like they have for the last since 52 and all the stuff since about 2015 and all the Bendis years and stuff, right? They can keep the characters straight. I can be forgiving. You know what I mean? And actually have some fun with it. It's good to have fun sometimes with this stuff. Oh my goodness. I could look around the room. I could pull something out. I'm sure I could. I probably have a few other things there, but my coffee is kicking in. All right. I slept 3 hours last night and I feel like I can get on with my day now. And I appreciate you guys spending this time with me. So let's do the comments here and see where we're going to go with this live show. We go anywhere with it. Woo, what do we got here? Gabriel Igahaduro. I'm probably butchering your name. You are all over this. I appreciate that. Nice. Insightful glory acquired. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you here. Oh, Gore Vidal is here. Gore, we got to get you on a show on a Sunday. I didn't email you this week because I had a feeling I was going to be working. If you missed the beginning of the show, I'm doing the show today instead of Sunday because work is sending me 8 hours away to the coast of Virginia in the Chesapeake area. I'm going to be gone for a day or two. Well, I'm going to be gone for 2 or 3 days, a day to drive up there. What we got here? Morning, Tim. Did you see the Fire and Ice comic written by Bill Willingham that came out this week? I have not seen it yet, but I have already pre-ordered it, and this is one of the few series where I'm like, I'm getting the multiple covers. So and when I get my discount, they're $2.80 a piece to pre-order them. So I have #1 is in my queue to be sent to me. Three issues and stuff. #2, I have pre-order. I'm pre-ordering the entire series. This is Fire and Ice by Bill Willingham. Like I said, the guy's proved himself as a writer to me with Fables, basically. Elementals was great. Don't get me wrong, but this is in good hands. You know what I mean? Plus, he has the background where he worked at Dungeons and Dragons, so he gets the fantasy feel. The guy is a Conan, Lord of the Rings, Frazetta fan as well. So yeah, this is the perfect guy to get it. Bill Willingham, and today's um, barrel of talent. Well, I know people say well, but I don't think it's that deep anymore. And the barrel of talent that's out there now, of course, Bill Willingham would be the perfect writer to do it, in my opinion. As much as I can handle Neil Gaiman, I can handle about 90% of his writing on stuff. And even his bad stuff isn't that bad, 1602. But basically, I'm really glad he didn't get it. When I first heard about this, little threads and stuff, little whispers of it, I was like, oh no, not Neil Gaiman. I don't know, I was for sure Neil Gaiman would be attached to it. So I'm really excited about that book. Um, Gabriel, we will. You have a lot of comments here. I'll just pick out the ones that seem relevant. Oh, Michael Gallant is here. Good to see you, Gore Vidal. Yes, it would be nice to chat with you. I saw the Interiors of Fire and Ice, and it was nice. I didn't pick it up though. I'm one to wait. Trade. I really played around with the idea of waiting for a trade of that, and then I'm like, this is a once in a lifetime thing. This is Fire and Ice, uh, the 40th anniversary of it and stuff. And I was there from the beginning. I mean, we had the actual movie poster that we had the movie poster in the house that I wish we still had, because we had a friend who worked at the VHS rental place for almost the entire time they were open. So we would get stand-ups and movie posters and all kinds of stuff from them. I had Warriors of the Wind poster also, if you know Nausicaa and all that stuff. Oh, Paolo's popped in here at the end. You picked the worst time to stream. Dr. Silver Age and Shannon only finished their show now. I'm streaming now because work. One more time, guys. Sorry. Work is sending me 8 hours away to the coast of Virginia tomorrow. I'm not going to be here Sunday. I'm going to be gone for 2-3 days. It's going to take about a day to drive up there. It's an 8-hour drive, I believe. And of course, I'm going to want to eat, and I got to find a hotel when I get there, things like that. And I'm going with some co-workers. So wasn't stepping on any toes, man, but it's all right. It's all right. It's here. And Paolo, I was talking to Gore. We got to get you back on the ship. We got to get Gore, and I would love to do another show with Gore. Love to do another show with you. If you guys want to do it at the same time, that'd be awesome. But right now, work, you know. All right. And it's because of work I can get these cheap books and stuff, right? So, guys, it is now 12:07. We have spent an hour, 6 minutes together. I have enjoyed it. My coffee is kicking in. I want to shake off these cobwebs in my head. It is time to get on with my day. I am now 3 hours behind with the things I wanted to do. And the sky has not fallen. So read some comics, take some chances, get some good stuff, go in them back issues, be excellent to each other. And it was great to spend that morning with you guys. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. And go check out Dr. Silver Age and Shannon on Dr. Silver Age's channel. They do a great live show in the morning, man. All right, later, guys.